Hey guys, I'm Jeff Hrunka. I'm with Motorsports today. Marvin Hernandez Jr. behind the camera. And what a weekend it was at Motorsports today. We came in this weekend with many different storylines. First, Fox Sports, how are they going to do their first weekend with IndyCar as a broadcast partner? You also had the first time hybrid engines were at this racetrack. How will drivers adjust? Did they need to adjust? And then you had different driver moves. A lot of changes in the offseason. We saw Alex Rossi go to Ed Carpenter Racing, and we saw McLaren shake up their whole lineup with now Palou Award being the veteran on that team, believe it or not. But let's start off with what Mark Miles had to say about IndyCar expansion and possible tracks in the future.
We want to grow our fan base internationally. At this point, we're not looking to race outside of North America. So not to confuse North America with other international. We're working hard on Mexico, and I hope that happens. We can have something to say this year about that. But listen, to have more teams, Prem is amazing. What a great addition to the series. More drivers, more sponsors from abroad, greater audiences, reach, and revenue from our international media licensing. All that's possible and doable, given the kind of reach and fan base that we already have. It's a lot to start from.
Another notable change ahead of the 2025 NTT INDYCAR Series season is the implementation of the new charter system, where 25 chartered entries among the 10 teams are guaranteed spots in every single race and have a new allocation of shared revenue from the sport. Chip Ganassi, one of the veteran owners of the sport who owns a 3-car team with 3 charters, is a big proponent of the change.
Yeah, no, I think it's a great thing. I've said before, I thought, that maybe that's something that doesn't translate down to fans per se. I don't know that it's a fan-centric decision by the series, but it's something that the team owners badly need, to have a solid, again, this goes back to my earlier comments about being a viable business. And that's what the charter system does, is it makes these teams be a viable business. And if you have strong teams, you're going to have a strong series. You're going to, it just trickles down from there. You'll have strong races, and you'll be on solid footing on a worldwide basis. Yeah, I think it's something that happened in IndyCar racing that I think someone's going to look back on. Maybe it doesn't seem that way right now, a year or two down the road, but you're going to look back on the charter system someday and say, boy, that was a big move in the sport.
Ganassi's IndyCar effort downsized from 5 cars to 3, but one of those is the veteran Scott Dixon. What keeps him motivated 25 years into his IndyCar career?
I don't know. I just want to win. So I don't know. I don't really look back. I just look forward to the next race. Starting a new season, for me, the fire still burns very strong, and honestly, all I'm focused on is winning this weekend. So I think a lot of the times I've mentioned, I think once you lead the sport, hopefully you're happy with what you've achieved along the way. But I just care about this weekend, man.
Only 2 of the 10 teams on the grid kept their driver lineups intact for 2025. One of those is Andretti Autosport, and one of their drivers is Kyle Kirkwood, who finished 7th in points last year. Kirkwood also has a new sponsor this year in Chili's.
Chili's made a whole song around the Daytona 500. My question is, are they going to make a whole song around kind of you and the Indy 500 in the future, man?
I don't know anything on that front. We're still a little ways away from the Indy 500, so I don't know. Time will tell. I haven't heard anything about that, but it's possible.
I'm not sure if you saw, but Justin Haley was wearing his fire suit, had jeans on it.
I did.
He was wearing a cowboy hat. Are we going to see you in that anytime this year?
I don't know. That's a good question. I know I obviously saw the NASCAR guys' suits. Ours doesn't look like that at all. But who knows? That's out of my control.
But I kind of want to start off on St. Pete first. Last season it didn't really, might not went the way you wanted it to. So what does it mean to finally get back, get refreshed, and get going again here at St. Pete?
Yeah, think last year it's exciting to be back here. We had a good season last year. We finished 7th in the championship. We came off one of the strongest races that we had at Nashville, and this is a track that has not done me well in recent years. So we're looking for a comeback here. I think the past 3 years, I may have gotten one top 10 finish. I'm not even sure. No, I haven't. I don't think I have. So it's a track that it's local to me. It's local to my family and friends. So I always have a lot of people out here. And it's a place I really enjoy, but we just haven't had good luck here. So hopefully that turns around this weekend.
Unlike Kirkwood, Stingray Robb is one of many drivers on the move this offseason, heading over to Hrunka's Hollinger Racing. He talks about the relationship and whether his approach changes as a driver, with the hybrid package being used for the first time at St. Pete's.
I've been with Hrunka's Hollinger before, back in my Road to Indy days, so we won a championship together. I know what the culture's like. I know what the team's about. Great leadership in place this year, so we don't have a lot of testing time, so we're pretty limited on what we can do to build communication through that. But just being in Indianapolis, being at the shop, it's allowed me to kind of adapt to that. Obviously, Connor and I still have some room to grow because we haven't spent much time together, but looking forward to it.
And, with the hybrid system, do you have to come into this race weekend any differently? This is your first time using it. Did you prepare any differently?
No, I mean, we've used a hybrid before, second half of the season last year, so a lot of the systems are very similar to what they were. I think that a lot of the drivers expect to have a similar feel. It's obviously the first time here at St. Pete with it, but it's a general tool that we can take to any event and use it pretty much the same way.
Another notable move in the offseason was Christian Lundgaard, who took his talents from Rahal Letterman Lanigan over to Arrow McLaren, and he's a former street race winner at Toronto. What does he think about his street racing prowess, and what's his opinion on the hybrid package?
I wouldn't necessarily say we were that good last year. We weren't, obviously in 23 we were really good. I think the hybrid weight changed the car a lot, at least on the street circuits. But again, it will be the first time we drive the car here with the hybrid weight as well. So I don't know. I mean, I just try to drive as fast as I can without hitting any concrete walls.
Did you have to prepare any differently going into this race, not having the hybrid system here last year?
Yes and no. I mean, obviously there's differences. There's differences in car setup. But I think from a mental standpoint and a preparations, it's pretty similar.
In Saturday's qualifying session, Team Penske's Scott McLaughlin set the time to beat, and McLaughlin's had past success at this track, a former winner of the Firestone Grand Prix at St. Petersburg. He spoke to Jeffrey about his success at the track and what other motorsports races are on his bucket list as he heads further into his career.
Well, how have you been able to translate so well to this track?
I don't know. I really enjoy street circuits, and I love this place, just the way that the braking, and I love big stops and turns and then running right out to the fence, so I think it's just right up my alley for some reason naturally. And I was saying before, 2022 was probably one of the biggest moments of my life, when I won that race and got pole and whatnot. That weekend I'll never forget, so it was pretty amazing.
You had the Rolex 24 entry with SVG, but is there anything else on your motorsport bucket list that you would want to check off? You've done IndyCar, you've done V8 Supercars, now you've done the Rolex. What else is there for you?
Le Mans probably the next thing for sure. I'd love to do that one day if it works out, but I don't really. For me now, I'm just fully focused on winning the 500 and then a championship. They're my two bucket lists, and then maybe after that, I can focus on maybe trying to do a Le Mans.
All three Team Penske cars qualified in the top 13, including two-time reigning Indy 500 winner Josef Newgarden.
Mo Power has 2 wins. Scott McLaughlin has 1. You have 2 wins yourself. What has made Team Penske so good at this track?
I think it's a good observation that we have fast cars here. Similar to Andretti, holistically speaking, on a street course, I think our cars have suited this track over the year, or years, I should say. Certainly since I started in 2012, I think Team Penske's always had a good base package here. It's gone up and down a little bit, but been very consistent over that time. I think, how many poles has Will had around here? 9, and some absurd figure. So, it speaks to the quality of the car. Even just to start today on primaries, I felt like our car was naturally fast. And so I'm really, appreciative of that, the effort that we put in. We've even doubled down on it, even knowing that we have a good base car here. We've tried to make it even better. So, I don't think I can give you one reason why. It's, these things move all over the place. Kyle was just talking about this with their team, where they know they have a strength on street courses, but maybe that strength doesn't carry everywhere. We're trying to flatten our performance window where it's not peaks and valleys. It's just quite consistent everywhere, and we have that speed naturally. This has always been a stronghold, and we just want to have that everywhere we go.
Penske dominated the first 2 days in the big boy circuit, but there was still business to attend to in Indy. Next, the secondary series, 21 cars on the grid, and 2021 F3 champion Dennis Hauger, driving for Andretti, was dominant in an Andretti 1-2. He never left the top 2 all weekend, in practice or qualifying, including practice 2, where he turned the first ever lap at St. Pete's under 64 seconds in an Indy Next entry. Jeffrey caught up with the eventual season opening winner on Friday.
The team is doing a great job just preparing me for it. As you said, there's a lot of new factors, the tracks itself, the car and ovals, and also just the whole circuit. How it is and how the mindset is. It's a bit different, so just getting up to speed with everything, but testing has been strong. Got up to speed pretty quickly without really knowing the tracks and stuff, so it's going to be tough, but I think we have, good opportunities. So just got to keep focusing and working hard with the team to do what we can do. So I'm just looking forward to get started. Really.
How did this deal come together?
It was actually with my manager and Anders Krohn, which is Norwegian and raised and been a lot over here for a lot of years. Helped me out a bit to get in contact, and we were talking with Andretti for a while, and it seemed like a good opportunity and a fun challenge going ahead, and a fresh challenge. So it's something I couldn't say no to.
And finally, what are you most excited about for this upcoming season? Is there something that catches your eye? Is it learning the ovals? Is it just the new environment? What are you most excited about?
I think tracks and the car and everything and all that is all new, and that just brings a bit of a fresh perspective, but I think overall the environment and the atmosphere as well is really cool here, and that's definitely even a bigger motivation.
But then it was time for the main event, the season opening Firestone Grand Prix. There was drama on the first lap, the 8th time in 21 years of this event, a caution on the opening lap as Will Power, Nolan Siegel, and Louis Foster crashed out of the race. It stayed clean after that. Scott McLaughlin was strong for the first 50 laps, but it came down to 3 champions in the end. Alex Palou, Scott Dixon, and Josef Newgarden. But Palou got the best in-lap and out-lap on the final pit stop and ultimately pulled away. And here's how it sounded from Will Buxton and company on Fox.
Palou, your reigning champion, the man they all need to beat, lays down a marker on the streets of St. Pete. Alex Palou wins the opening round of the 2025 IndyCar season as Newgarden seemingly coasting to the line and apparently out of fuel.
As Will mentioned, Josef Newgarden was in the thick of the battle with some help from the lappers, including Stingray Robb, but had fuel issues and ran out of gas on the final lap. Newgarden won this race a year ago before he was disqualified a month later, and Newgarden spoke about the missed opportunity.
We just had fuel miscues today 2 times. The second one, we had a shift that was unexpected with a lap to go, and we just had to hit the emergency button, which was unfortunate. We kind of started that last lap like half emergency mode, and then they said, you just have to pull the chute here, just finish. So, yeah, it happens. It's unfortunate. To have miscues like that and to still finish third, I think is a great day in a lot of ways. So really, really pleased to come out of here with points. Just, obviously there was a lot more that could have been.
Scott Dixon was in the lead before the final pit stop, but a tough out lap and a tougher in lap ended up costing Dixon the win. The veteran spoke about his second-place finish and the disappointment associated with it.
I caught about 5 or 6 cars, I think, on my in lap. I think I lost about 2 or 3 seconds just on my in lap. They did the right thing. They could see the traffic coming. I had no communication, so I didn't know. I'm sure they were trying to call me in, but as soon as you catch them, the undercut is going to be pretty strong if you especially pop out into clear track. I think we had a good race. We had a good race going, and we didn't get it done. So, yeah. doesn't feel good, that's for sure.
Despite the tough result for Dixon, it was all smiles for his team owner, Chip Ganassi, the first 1-2 finish for CGR in an IndyCar race since Mid-Ohio 2 years ago. Ganassi spoke about the accomplishment.
You know, really good for us here in St. Pete, not one of our favorite tracks. We've been challenged here the last number of years, and really happy. It was a tough race. To be, we were back. Both Scott and Alex were back 22 seconds, I know, at one point, from the lead. Certainly there were two different strategies going, but, you don't want to be, we were getting held up a bit early on, and, that damn near bit us at the end of the race, yeah.
But the story of the day was the driver who's been the story the last half-decade, Alex Palou. 3 titles in the last 4 years, and an early notch with his first win of the 2025 season.
Yeah, huge. Couldn't be happier, honestly. It's been a long off-season and a tough off-season for everybody at CGR and HRC. They've been working really, really hard to try and... we were speaking on Thursday during media, or Friday, that it was one of the places that we've been struggling in the past, and we wanted to get a little bit closer to the competition. So I wanted to be here in Victory Lane, but I did not expect maybe to be here in Victory Lane. So that shows the amazing job that all the men and women did at Chip Ganassi Racing during the off-season. So Dixon was catching traffic at that moment. So we were going to do the opposite of the 9 car. We were trying to win. So if he was going to stay out, I was going to come to try and get advantage of the traffic he was going to get to. And if he was going to pit that lap, we were going to try and stay out and pray for traffic laps to just go fast. So, got lucky this time. I'm very glad. I'm very pleased of the strategy they called. At one point, it was tough on lap 5 or 6 that we were P14. It doesn't seem too bad, but when you drop positions on a street course, it's actually tough to gain them back, and you expose yourself to mistakes or to accidents. So I was happy.
What a weekend it was for IndyCar in Indy Next. The day started off with Dennis Hauger finishing his dominant weekend after fastest in practice 1, second fastest in practice 2, getting a track record in qualifying with a 103, and tops it off by leading all 44 laps of the St. Petersburg Grand Prix for the IndyCar Next Series. The race was shortened on time because of multiple incidents to start out the race, forcing it to 44 laps, 1 short of the advertised distance. And then IndyCars, a lap 1 wreck caused by Will Power hit Nolan Siegel. Shook up strategy. You had 9 guys stay out. Scott McLaughlin led the charge, stayed out from the lead, but it ultimately didn't pay off because Josef Newgarden, Alex Palou, and Scott Dixon were left to battle, leading that strategy, getting off the alternate tire right away to the very end of the race. Alex Palou was able to undercut Scott Dixon late, and although Palou got held up by Stingray Robb in the closing laps, Palou was able to hold him off, get by the lap car, with Dixon finishing in second without a radio, and Josef Newgarden rounding out the podium in third, getting redemption from last season. This has been Jeffrey Hrunka. Thank you for following us throughout the weekend. If you want to follow more motorsports coverage, go on all of our socials, Motorsports Today. On X, it's Motorsports Today without the O's. And on motorsportstoday.net to see all of our recaps from this weekend. Thank you for having us, and I'll see you at a different racetrack.